Okay, wrestling fans, let's try this again. MetsFan884 podcast live on your screens right now as we complete another half week of wrestling. NXT and AEW just ended. AEW ended with a totally different side of Orange Cassidy that we never seen before. A lot less mellow, a lot more physical part of Orange Cassidy. I gotta admit, I liked. And NXT ended with Bayley and Sasha successfully defending the NXT Women's Championship, the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships against Shotzi Blackheart and Tegan Nox, which means this Monday they will be defending the titles against the Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. Okay, this week of wrestling began kind of crazy with Backlash and the self-proclaimed greatest wrestling match ever last week, where Randy Orton won, of course. Edge suffered an injury during the match. It will be out for a while. I don't remember exactly how long. You can fill me in how long he'll be out. Asuka successfully retained the women's championship in both matches against Nia Jax, one by double countout, the other by submission, pinfall. If you watch the match, actually, Nia Jax started it by shoving referee John Cone. John Cone was about to call for the bell and call for a disqualification. Instead, Nia got rolled up by Asuka. John Cone did the old fast count and became a social media hero. And basically a hero to the entire wrestling community because we don't want Nia Jax as champion. Plain and simple. We don't want Nia Jax as champion. You ask us which one we want more, either Nia Jax as champion or another Trump term. We would probably say another Trump term. But yeah, Nia Jax is not champion, so it's a good day to be a wrestling fan. Also, this past Monday, after when Raw went off the air, Christian faced Randy Orton in an unsanctioned match. A lot of people were advising Christian not to do it, including the Nature Boy Ric Flair, who wound up turning on Christian at the end of the night, low blowing him, helping Randy Orton basically defeat Christian. After the match, Randy Orton punted Christian. Well, during the match, Randy Orton punted Christian in the skull. The old Orton punt that put out several names that I don't have time to go over right now. After the event went off the air, basically Christian was carted out of the arena on a stretcher. We showed that on Raw Talk. If you haven't seen Raw Talk from Monday, it's available on both the free and the regular tier of the WWE Network. Then we had Raw Talk, which basically, let's be real here, folks, I don't want to really talk about it because I don't know how I'm going to get recepted on Twitter after I talk about it, but basically one of their guests was Charlotte Flair. And Charlotte Flair basically ran down anybody online who called her entitled. She basically said she's the hardest working woman in the division. I mean, she has a point. She's always here. She's never off. She's never injured. But saying she's not entitled is like saying the world is not round. I mean, she compared herself to Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks, who's had 4 Raw Women's Championship reigns and never had a decent reign. Sasha, who came back from 4 months off to win the women's tag team titles and lose them at WrestleMania without even defending them properly. Are we really going to go down that road? I mean, I agree with what she said about Nia Jax. I mean, come on, nobody wanted Nia Jax as champion. Nobody still doesn't want her as champion, but still. Don't ever say Sasha Banks is entitled, because Sasha Banks is the hardest worker, one of the hardest working women in the company, and basically gets shit for booking. I mean, as happy as she may look, I'm sorry, but I gotta tell the truth. I don't think Sasha wants to be women's tag team champions. She wants to be SmackDown Women's Champion. You know it. I know it. But for Charlotte to come out of her mouth and call Sasha entitled is probably the most ass-backwards statement probably in history, especially coming from her. I'm sorry, because Sasha was the one that won the women's championship her first year on the main roster. Sasha was the one handpicked by the WWE booking to end Nikki Bella's Divas Championship reign. No, Charlotte, that was you. That was not Sasha. Sasha was the one flung into a match between Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania when she didn't belong there in the first place. And flung into that Becky Lynch Carmella match when she didn't belong in that one either. No, Charlotte, that was you. That was not Sasha. So the next time you call somebody entitled, Charlotte, look in the mirror. You're probably the most entitled person in WWE. As entitled as Randy Orton. Anyway, also tonight on AEW/NXT, we got a little proposal from, I don't know why Dexter Lumis wants to team up with Velveteen Dream, but yeah, he does. Nobody can really figure out Dexter Lumis, which kind of makes him a good character. Caden Cross got challenged for next week. We'll see a triple threat match next week with Finn Balor. I forgot who else. I think it's Finn Balor, and you guys can help me out. A triple threat match for the North American Championship, and the winner of that match will face Adam Cole on July 8th for the NXT Championship. So it's a possibility that somebody might be a double champion. Yeah, because we don't have enough double champions in wrestling already with Bayley running around. Meanwhile, over on AEW, Big Swole kidnapped Dr. Britt Baker. Big Swole is becoming a big bully. We supposed to be against bullying these days. Anyway, at the end of the show, during the show, Britt was found in a garbage dumpster. A little angry, a lot pissed off, swearing revenge on all the Cole conspirators that basically set her up to get injured, or so in her mind. I don't know. I don't think there's a conspiracy at all, but as big as a Britt Baker fan as I am, there's no conspiracy. Injuries happens in this sport. Is the way things go. Also, we saw a basic splintering, more splintering on Raw of Zelina Vega's group of Angel Garza and Andrade, because basically they can't get along. I don't even know why she put them together as a group. They can't get along. They get along as much as the Trump administration and the Democrats. They are steady fighting. Even she had enough of it this past Monday, and they still won't get along. Let's be real here. We saw, once again, Seth Rollins attempt to get into the head of Rey Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio showed up, basically beat Seth's ass, and did some of the greatest acrobatics I've ever seen in my life. I didn't know the kid can move that fast. If you watch the footage on YouTube, I think they got it up on YouTube, or you watch it on WWE.com. Keep up, watch the kid closely with your eyes. It's like he's there 1 minute, gone the next. It's like, wow. It was unbelievable. It was outrageous. I don't really fully remember everything that happened at Backlash. All I know is Braun Strowman is still the Universal Champion. He defeated Miz and Morrison. And everything else basically fell into place as usual on Raw. Next week we'll have the Street Profits facing the Viking Raiders. Finally, in a wrestling match, the match we were supposed to have Sunday. But it broke into some kind of wild, crazy, cinematic, entertainment, fun segment that basically entertained us all. But this will be an actual tag team title match between the Street Profits, Viking Raiders, Monday night on Raw for the WWE Raw tag team titles. That's just one of the 2 championship matches that will be this Monday, including the women's tag titles, Sasha and Bayley defending against the Iconics, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay. Now, I don't know where exactly to lean towards in that match. I'll probably let y'all know on Friday when I do my next podcast. But yeah, it's been a weird day, weird week. I barely had any service on my phone. If any of my followers was wondering why I wasn't on Twitter Monday night, because T-Mobile and every other phone company in the planet had some service problems. I don't know if you guys were having it too. But yeah, so hopefully that won't happen again. You'll be seeing more of my podcast. If you want to see more of my podcast, I asked you guys when I get to 1,000 followers. I'm up to 1,011 right now. To let me know what you want to hear about in this podcast, because this is not just my podcast. This is y'all's too. Y'all want to hear me talk about something wrestling related on this podcast? Just let me know. Drop me a suggestion, either under this video or on my Twitter account, and we'll talk about it. I don't want to just do regular wrestling reviews, because sometimes Monday Night Raw, as fun as it may seem to some people, it gets kind of dragged to watch. I don't know. Oh yeah, and I don't know how many of you watched Survivor Series 1996 last night. I watched a little bit of it. I didn't really see Survivor Series 96 originally. I was kind of tied in WCW back in the day, so a lot of it was like new to me. I mean, I kind of figured Shawn Michaels lost the title because Sid faced Taker at WrestleMania 13, but I don't exactly remember how he lost the title. Now I saw it. I kind of know now. So yeah. I watched Great American Bash 96 today. For some reason, watching WCW 96 kind of brings back weird memories, because it brings you back to a day, especially if you grew up on WCW, when you realize that you think to yourself, why the hell was WCW acting so powerless against the NWO? Everything we were doing before they got there, all we had to do was basically just do it. Do it to them. They do something else, do it back. But WCW just seemed mucho powerless against the NWO. I guess that was just to make the NWO look powerful. It was basically trying to build up the NWO. And that's basically what you're supposed to do when you form a new faction. That's what WWE did with Nexus, The Shield, and Evolution. That's what AEW is doing right now with Inner Circle, Dark Order. Oh yeah, and I think I forgot her name. I think she's going to join Dark Order. I don't know why. I don't know. But after she lost her match, Brody Lee and Dark Order basically just carried her to the back. So something tells me next week on Dynamite, you're going to be seeing her as a new member of Dark Order. Best Friends ended the show with a big win. That's when we saw the freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy Chris Jericho confrontation that led to a match between those two next week. Of course, we had to hear Taz flap off his gums about how great Brian Cage is supposed to be. We'll find out how great he is at Fyter Fest when he faces Jon Moxley. Also signed for Fyter Fest, the women's champion Hikaru Shida will face Penelope Ford. I'll give you my Fyter Fest predictions when we get closer to Fyter Fest, if I still have a podcast, and I will still have a podcast if I still have a Twitter account, and I will still have a Twitter account if some negative nanny out there doesn't try to put negativity on an otherwise positive account. Because I'm warning you now, if you try to put negativity on my Twitter, you will get blocked. There's already enough negativity in the world with all the riots and stuff going on. We don't need any more negativity. I don't know if you watched the news last night, but they actually did a report about the ongoing, for some reason, meaningless fireworks they've been shooting off every night. I don't know if you people have been hearing it. I don't know if y'all been hearing it the way I have, but yeah. Who knows when that's going to be, something's going to be done about that, or if it's ever going to be something done about that, but yeah. It needs to be something done about that, because that's kind of getting annoying right now. I mean, there's no reason to be shooting off fireworks. It's not the 4th of July yet. That's not for a whole other 2 weeks. And we still got fireworks shooting off. Why? Anyway, I don't know all of what's supposed to happen Friday night on SmackDown. All I know is that Mandy Rose is supposed to be on Miz TV. If you ask me, I think that's going to probably lead to a match between Otis and Miz. I'm hoping they don't do this dumb shit where they take the Money in the Bank briefcase away from Otis and give it to Miz, because Miz don't need the fucking Money in the Bank briefcase. I know a lot of people out there don't like the fact that Otis is Mr. Money in the Bank, but this is the thing with wrestling fans. Some wrestling fans, they complain about something before it even happens. Who knows how this thing is going to end with Otis's Money in the Bank? Could be something good. We always talk about how WWE needs to build up new stars. I mean, they're trying to build up a new star right now, and what are we doing? Cutting it down before it even starts. Let's see where this Otis's Money in the Bank thing goes. Maybe he wins the title, maybe he doesn't. Who knows? Because you win Money in the Bank doesn't exactly guarantee you're going to win the title. We've seen that twice or 3 times already. Let's just see how it ends, see where it goes, see what happens, see what develops out the films, and then judge for ourselves. Oh yeah, AEW signed a new start. They signed I forgot his name. Yeah, they signed somebody from NWA today. If you would like to see anybody from NWA signed to AEW, let me know who. Somebody said it on Twitter, and I actually agree. I wouldn't mind seeing Melina signed to AEW. Melina and AEW could be pretty interesting. I mean, it would definitely be a death blow to WWE. Yeah, at least she can end her career at an actual wrestling company on her own terms. And I'm actually surprised that watching NXT tonight. I'm actually surprised at how focused Beth Phoenix was after what happened Sunday night at Money in the Bank to her hubby Edge. I mean, you never expect her to be that focused after what happened Sunday. I mean, what happened Monday night. But apparently she was. I don't know how they did. I think the way they did NXT tonight, if you watch it, if you didn't watch it, you can watch it on the network when they post it. I think they did. Tom was in the studio and Beth and Maura were at home. I think that's the way they're going to do it from now on because there's social distancing. I think that's how they do it. But meanwhile, in AEW, all 3 of the announcers are sitting like within arm's reach of each other. I don't know if that means AEW is being more risky than WWE or WWE is being a lot more safer. Especially now that a report came out that a NXT superstar tested positive for COVID-19. So now I think they're going to begin testing every superstar now as if they shouldn't have been doing that already. That's just another dumb move on Vince McMahon's part. But who are we to question anything Vince McMahon does? We're just fans. He doesn't listen to us anyway. He ain't going to listen to the fans until lawsuits start flying around. That's the way Vince McMahon operates. Once the word lawsuit pops up, then he starts doing his job. We've seen it for years. We saw it with ICO Pro. We saw it with the federal government. Once the word lawsuit pops up, Vince starts acting like he's an actual promoter again. Another week in wrestling is not done yet. Still got Friday, SmackDown. I'll be doing another podcast. And hopefully you people will actually be a little nicer to each other right now on Twitter. And not try to basically get each other suspended or get each other's accounts pulled off of Twitter. Because we are having enough of that already. I'm at 1,000 followers. I appreciate everybody who followed me. Everybody who wants to follow me, you can. But keep in mind that if I don't follow you back, it's not because I don't want to follow you back. Maybe I can't. Because remember, Twitter has a 5,000 follow limit. And for me to go through my follow limit at my follow list and unfollow everybody who doesn't follow me will take from now to like the end of the year. So if you follow me on Twitter at MetsFan884, be patient. I will follow you when I have time to follow you. Not like I don't want to follow you. I actually want to follow you. You just gotta be patient. Anyway, if you want to check out my past podcasts, subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell button so you can know when I'm posting a new one. You want to check me out on Instagram, I'm up there. You can also check out my interview with Lacey Evans up there. Hopefully, if Lacey sees this podcast, we can hook up a date for a future interview. I'm also hoping to get a lot more people on this podcast for interviews. Who would y'all like to see me interview on this podcast? Let me know bottom of this video or on Instagram or Twitter. Who would you like to see me interview for the podcast? Because I only have one interview and this podcast has already done 18 episodes. It's kind of weird. Most people on their podcast has already done like 20, 25 interviews, but I've done 18 episodes and only done one interview. Oh yeah, I'm a plug, shameless plug. Don't forget to check out episode 3 of the Bear With Us podcast with my friend Corey Graves and Carmela on Spotify tomorrow. If it's not already posted. If you can listen to it if it's already posted. But I think it's going to be up tomorrow. If you haven't listened to the other 2 episodes, I recommend you do it. It's a hell of a podcast. It's about relationships and all that stuff. So if you need relationships, know about relationships, know all the deep, dark stuff that nobody talks about, listen to that podcast. I'm hoping to get either Corey or Carmela on this podcast to talk about the podcast. I'll see if I can work that out the way I worked out Lacey. Anyway, stay safe. Be kind to one another. See y'all Friday.